good afternoon. As you can see, we are so prepared for this that we synced our wardrobe as well. We're both wearing pink and blue. So great to have you here, Deep. So I heard your intro from the MC. Everybody knows you or knows of you, all the amazing things you've done with MakeMyTrip. But the theme at this conference, I was clearly told, is now it can be told, which means you really need to be telling things which you've never told before. And my sense is he's spoken so often at hotelier conferences, he really has had to be quite circumspect. After all, you're all partners and clients as well. But today, you can say it, Deep. So let's start with, tell us what failed for you. You had many of those near-death times in the early start of your career, and I know people have heard some of it, but truly, what were those times like? What failed, and what of those failures created the success you have today?
Sure. Firstly, thank you very much for having me here. And while Dilip is egging me on and even in the back room telling me, say what you really feel about the industry, I have to remind him that I might have gone non-executive, but MakeMyTrip is very much there. and I'm still, I think, quite synonymous with it. So, but in all honesty, I think while it was the toughest thing to do to get hotels to move online, I think if I was to compare it to selling flight tickets online, it's probably 1:10. Flight tickets moved online very fast in India. We launched our India operations in 2005. Prior to that, it was only non-resident Indians, foreigners coming to India. And flight tickets moved so fast online, reason being simple, it's a two-dimensional product. It's price and it's timing that you're really worried about. That's all you're concerned. The brand of the carrier is anyway known to you because, you know, there are a bunch of brands. When it comes to hotels, it's a very, very complex decision-making exercise. The big branded hotels, most of us here represent them. It's still easier because the brand connotes something. You might be new to India, but you're well known. But the moment you go away from a big branded hotel, the concerns, what is this about? Where will it be situated? What is the view from the window? Do I have this stunning kind of horizon view, or will I be conned that there is a sea view, but there's no sea view? If it's on business, how well is it located? The amenities, the facilities, the price. There are endless things that you want to know. Then when you're traveling with family, facilities for kids, is it easy and accessible for older parents, etc. So moving hotels online in India was nothing short of pushing water uphill. And I can tell you it was really hard. We started trying to do that in 2005. I think we only started having impact in 2015. So it took so many years to start it, really get it going. You know, Rajesh is here, he knows all about that, and both our hotel leaders are here, Abhishek, Vaibhav, and they've probably seen the last 10 years. Abhishek's seen a little bit more, where it's really started moving online. So they absolutely get the credit for growing it, but I can tell you the tough years were when it wasn't moving. Now I'll come to your more interesting question. So I think for us, the early years were very, very tough. It's easy to say now. We're actually coming to 25. In a month's time, we're going to be 25 years old, which I find it shocking myself.
Wow.
Which is pretty, you know, unrealistic and unheard of for the internet companies in India. Very few would be, I think, 25, and I think more. So it's obviously now a durable name and a durable brand, etc. But the first 5 years, 4 to 5 years, were near death all the time. We typically didn't have more money than making rent and payroll for 2 months. So for at least a 24-month period, that was the situation. So all the time one was actually thinking like, listen, should we just shut down and go back to, you know, the jobs we were doing, corporate jobs, blah, 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 and this is madness. Many of the senior people were taking big cuts in salary. 18 months, I didn't draw anything from MMT because we didn't have anything to draw. But we kept the juniors going. We really moved to a tiny, tiny mezzanine space at, believe it or not, 11 rupees a square foot. If anyone reasonably tall raised their hands, you touch the ceiling. So it was a long, narrow thing, almost like a train bogie. And we worked our butts off just trying to make it happen because we saw slight improvement month on month on the key metrics, cost of customer acquisition, The bottom line was getting less red. We were still in the red. And so there was hope that we're going to get better, and hope is obviously a great word to use out here. There was constant hope we're moving in the right direction. And that kept one going, but we could have closed down multiple times. But the one which is the most interesting is just before we got venture finance in 2005, we were in a pretty dire spot, but things had improved. And there was a company called Zuji. I don't know how many of you will remember. So Zuji was half Travelocity. They were based in Singapore. They were an OTA looking at the Asian world. And Travelocity owned half of them, and I think Abacus owned the other half or something like that. And the Zuji top bosses were in town, and they were very keen to meet, and we got to know that they're keen to actually acquire the company. So I went into this meeting, and firstly I was afraid that we'll have to pay for lunch, so I kept the meeting in a modest restaurant near our Chini office called Waves. So we walked to Waves, small restaurant, it's still there. And I discussed with my co-founders before going that, listen, if we get to this price, and the price, now it can be told, the number was, if we get to 10 million, we'll sell the company. We were a management-held company then, a few angels were there, and we said, get to 10 million. And the whole meeting, $10 million, the whole meeting, they started at 5, we kept on. They finally moved up to 7.58. And I cannot tell you, and this is gut instinct, how relieved I was that they didn't say 10. There was a part of me, the left side of the brain, the analytical brain said we should sell. This is madness, you know, we'll make so much of money. The dollar was at 50 then or 48. We'll sell, we'll do something else. We'll go, you know, take a beach house somewhere and we're done. But we were very young then. I was 34 and said this is best is yet to come. And had they made 10, I might have shaken hands and we might not have.
So what would have happened if they had offered 10 and you,
I don't think we would be here in this industry today probably, because all these, then when you sell, you have non-competes and things like that, and then you move on, you do something else. Probably made a beer brand in Goa or something. So yeah, it's one of those things, but I think my lesson, my simple message to all entrepreneurs is hang in there till as long as you can. You never know when the tide will turn. So if people say innovativeness and salesmanship and others, these are the criteria, the best criteria for entrepreneurs. I think the number one criteria is resilience. There's nothing more important than resilience. Just hang in there. Things change, times change, the world changes as we have seen. The whole world changes. Rhythm spoke about 2008. It was a gloomy scenario for everyone. And then again, we had other near-death moments as a company when airlines were imploding. So Kingfisher, who obviously took many, many people for a royal ride, was imploding. And for us, we were already listed. We listed in 2010 on NASDAQ. And when they were imploding, I don't think it was near death, but it was a terrible time. And we've had some challenges, but these are obviously the big ones. But happy that we kind of rode the storm.
Okay, well, the lesson there is when you go to negotiate selling your own business, hope you find somebody stingy who doesn't give you your price and you'll end up doing what you...
That's true, or short-sighted.
Or short-sighted, again, lots of operators here. Almost everybody is focused and spends most of their marketing dollars on brand.com or any which way in which they can reduce. Clearly that works against you, and yet despite that, over time, chipping away, you've got almost the entire fraternity now connected, linked up with your APIs. How do you do that?
Yeah, firstly, I think brand.com is a reality of life. And if I was on the other side, and that's the way we always get into a business meeting, what if I were in your shoes? First time we met, you were actually, leading one of the big chains right here, Starwood, and or if I'm meeting any of you, I have to understand where you're coming from. And we never forget for a single day, and I keep reminding people till ad nauseum that we as an intermediary are in business only because of two constituents. One of them is the consumer, of course. The other one is our principal. So whether it's hotels or it's airlines or it's bus operators, we would not be in, so we should never forget that. No matter what happens, how well we do out there, our principles, there's a reason that word is principal, right? And we are intermediary, agent, whatever you want to call. So if I was in your shoes, in Puneet's shoes or anyone else's shoes, brand.com is a very important part of my strategy, as it should be. Loyalty, and Marriott has obviously hit the ball out of the park with Bonvoy, and Raj mentioned that. And it should be. I think from where we are coming, we want to be a partner in distribution, which is the most cost-effective partner, other than maybe your pure online medium, and including your salesperson on the phone. That salesperson on the phone, I was doing rough mental math, actually costs you, a well-trained salesperson probably costs you $1 lakh a month when you look at infra. So one of my closest friends, Ravish, runs Praxis, and he works with many of the hotels out here. And great agents, we've also worked with them for something we've done, great agents, but the fully loaded cost is expensive. It's not cheap if you look at everything. Come COVID, that hurts. For a 100% call center, you're probably talking 1 crore a month or 70 lakhs a month. That's very expensive fixed costs. Our pitch is variabilize that cost, give us the TAC, which we keep cribbing and fighting about, whatever, but on success. If you sell a room, let us do the hard work, not only of selling, let us do the hard work of taking care of the consumer when he or she is, wants a date change or is extension or God forbid bounced, which happens. It happened at a great hotel, a 5-star hotel 2 days ago in Dubai, an independent, and all of us were in a flap because of course they can reach me very easily. And that's good to know, but it was an interesting reason why there was a bounce. But we dealt with it. And the hotel got none of that, dirt was not splashed on them. We dealt with it. It was our consumer. We ate it finally, gave a free room night, whatever it had, because getting the consumers, I think, goodwill is the most important thing. So that's our pitch. Let us be we are the lowest cost distribution channel. Let us come in. No, we are very happy if we are 10% of your business. With some independence, we might be 20, 30%, that's fine. But we strive to be 10, and we'd like to be your most valuable partner, especially when the chips are down. So in a weird sort of way, Dilip, you and I were talking, business is great and everything's great, and obviously we love it, right? I've never seen this kind of buoyancy. Optimism and hope was always there, Mandy, but the buoyancy last evening at the party, and today, it's awesome, right? Everyone's so happy and can only think, like Puneet is saying things like, everything's good, but don't raise the taxes. He's right, because he's meeting policymakers more than anyone else I know from the industry and constantly pitching that, guys, think about what we are doing for the economy, think about the jobs, 8% of GDP, but 10% of jobs, and India needs jobs. So everyone's talking about a scenario where what can go wrong. But in a weird sort of way, we actually also get inbound calls from our hotel partners only when things go bad. So when the chips are down, or a new hotel is opening, or the season is not what we planned to be, that's when we get a call like, how can we help them in that time? And that we feel very privileged when we get that call, and so our entire BD team, business development team, is told only one thing: you should be the first call when the hotel needs help. When they don't need help, all boats are rising, yeah. High tide, all boats are rising, that's great. No one really needs help right now, which is awesome. We'll take our fair share. But when things are tough, I promise you, I think we can really help.
So this is what he really wants. He wants things to be tough for all of us.
I didn't say that.
Because that's when you will have the rooms and he can sell them. When you don't have rooms to sell, there's no business for MakeMyTrip. How does that work, Deep?
Dilip should be a politician, yeah. I said something else and he's nicely crafted the whole thing, but anyway, the audience is very mature out here.
So, you spoke about the call center thing and the cost and all of that kind of stuff. So let me lead that into either which way this call center or a human interface with what's happening with AI is going to go away in any case. The way I'm chatting with an individual human, tomorrow I'll be chatting with artificial intelligence. So in the AI scenario, and this is particularly important, I asked this question last evening with Rajesh as well, that so much of costs are expended on technology by hotel companies, brands, all of that. And owners need to be asking this question that, what are you doing to bring in more AI interventions to make our customer experiences more seamless, better, all of that? Any use case you can share? Any?
Sure. I think whatever we think about AI and AI can do is definitely an understatement. Some of you attended this conference this weekend in Gurgaon called Synapse. And if you didn't, you should see this online. They had an AI-powered robo, a lady with facial features, with eyes moving. She's been on the Jimmy Fallon show. She's been everywhere. Her name is Sophia. And Sophia was on stage responding to questions as tricky as you can think of. One of India's leading filmmakers asked Sophia to give him a script for the next movie, ANAROCK Kashyap. She paused for 5 seconds and reeled off a script, which he said, I'm going to make this movie.
Wow, seriously?
Yeah. My wife spoke to this robo, said, no, this is all scripted, like women, they doubt everything. So she went up to the robo at lunchtime and said, Sophia, Hindi mein baat karna chahte hain. And she had a conversation in Hindi. She's a citizen, Sophia is a citizen of Saudi, and we had just gone to Saudi, and she says, we went to your lovely country, and asked her something crazy about it, and again spoke in Hindi, and this one's responding, and I hope you had a good time in my country. It is shocking what AI is going to do, and it's all driven by, well, today it's ChatGPT.
By the way, why is she Saudi?
No, the Sophia is just Saudi.
Why is she Saudi?
Because Saudi gave the first nationality to a robo.
Oh.
Because MBS is opening up Saudi, which is another story, by the way. I was there last week, and it's shocking what they're doing in Saudi. But anyway, coming back. So I think our conversations with AI agents at one level on the enterprise side. So each of the hotels will have their own AI agent. We have our own AI agent. We call it Myra for MakeMyTrip. But people, every individual in 2 years' time is going to have an agent for themselves on their phone. And they might be specialized agents to do specialist things, or they might be a generalist agent. Think of the dream EA, which we've never had. Maybe in Bombay. Bombay is the place you get real EAs. But the dream EA which we've never had, which is super bright guy or girl, great in everything, great in communication, can write out great letters, can make great PPTs, can analyze Excels, can do everything all at once, real time, and available 24/7. Just think of that. It's mouth-watering, and you'll have it as part of your phone. You won't even be paying. DeepSeek has just shattered the myth that AI is expensive. AI is going to be damn cheap. It's going to be available for everyone. Coming to hotels, again, if I were in your shoes as a hotelier, I'd be investing in AI for sure. I'd be investing on the revenue management side. Today, you get all the reports, and we had a lovely talk in the first session, a fantastic new exciting company which is giving you great insights, but someone's got to act on them. I think the problem where the penny doesn't drop very often is you get all the analysis in the world, but I do know a few friends out here, they are the ones who have to look at it and take a call. And that means they are scratching their heads and saying, why? You've got analysts, you've got bright guys from IITs and IIMs and everything else. Why does a CEO sitting out here have to spend hours on that report and say, oh, so this is what we should be doing?
Well, while it's very interesting to hear this, but sounds like a bit of a doomsday prediction as well, Deep. I mean, at the end of the day, all of us here as hoteliers, this whole human touch, and only that can truly give the experience. What you're saying is presenting a scenario where that won't be required?
No, I think it's a hybrid. I think it's actually very exciting. For an owner, it's very exciting. For an operator, it's very exciting because you're actually going to reserve human skills for the areas where human magic is done. But for everything else, yes, it is scary because you'll replace a lot of people. I think you'll have to, but that's going to happen anyway. It's that classic thing when computers came and people said, no, we're not going to computerize, it's going to get lost to jobs. Imagine the companies that did that. Famously, I guess the calculator company and the ostrich in the sand. And they said, no, this is never going to happen to us, Remington. We're always going to be, so I think this is going to happen. Someone else will come and eat your lunch. So we are 24 and 11 months old, and I keep telling the company only one thing, we still have to think like a 24-month company, like a 2-year-old company, because the day we start thinking we've arrived is the beginning of the end. So I think we'll have to all hustle more, we'll have to reinvent more. We'll be hiring people in the 20s and 30s to tell us what to do because of their connection with the new customer, very young customer. And you and I, well, definitely not you, I'm much younger than you, Dilip, but cannot connect with, even I can't. So every time we have new joiners, we have 40, 50 people joining every month, and we have a lovely one-week program called Immersion, which I've really designed myself, and we all spend time. I only ask them, tell us what you would do with our brand if you were CEO for a day. Like and the ideas you get are better than the ideas we can think of because they're from the outside, they're consumers. Another month into the company and they're corrupted for life, right? Then they're trippers. So right now, I think the ideas we get from consumers and what we do out of them will only tell us and show us the way of what the consumer wants.
Great, so that leads me to the last question, this consumer insights. I think yesterday even Rajesh tried to touch upon it. Clearly, at MakeMyTrip, it's one of your strengths, right? Understanding those insights because of the amount of data you have available. So data is available to all of us as hoteliers also. I mean, Bonvoy data is 200 million members, and yet, whether it is the fear of interpreting that kind of data, the inability to do it, or a lack of understanding the importance, because people call us tech laggards as hoteliers, and it's because we're happy to react. We don't go looking for insights, they are available to us, and therefore we can be much more agile in creating those products and experiences which consumers are looking for and not wait for data to come from you. How can we overcome that?
It's a great question. I'm going to say something which will make me very unpopular here.
That was the idea. Not to make you unpopular,
No,
but to say things.
But I have to say it. Travel, tourism, hospitality in India is not an industry of choice. Maybe around the world it's not an industry of choice. It's the reality, right? Industries of choice are medicine and engineering and chartered accountancy and maybe law, etc. That's
Travel technology.
not really, right? That just happened. So therefore, you don't naturally get the best supply of the sharpest minds. However, it's not a coincidence that the CEO of 2 of the 3 largest companies of the world are Indians who actually grew up in India. So, Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai grew up in India. They are there. So, and it's not a coincidence that 25% of the workforce of the top 10 tech companies in the world are Indian. We have the sharpest minds. We should infuse that talent into some part of the decision making. Everyone in the room is the best hotel operator possible. I mean, the hotelier brains, I have had sessions, long sessions with Puneet, Patu, Ajay, I guess Bakal will be here soon. Unbelievable knowledge, Raj, you, lots to learn. But why wouldn't you infuse talent from the outside to come in and say, listen, you're going to do a lot of the hardcore data analytics, which AI can't do, but give that business. That business is no different from revenue management for an airline, or revenue management for any other service kind of setup. And I think that's the way one should be looking at it. To it's play to your strength, do what you know best. You know hoteliering, you know development best, you know all of these things. Please do that. But infuse someone in senior management up there who's a non-hotelier. And I think the things will start changing. And it really makes a difference. Get the best talent from the industry and infuse them in. So I'm not saying it in a bad way. You might thank me, actually, if you do that. So, yeah.
Okay, that's all we have time for. Wish we could chat more. Thank you very much, Deep.
Thank you, Dilip.
Thank you, audience.